my guests. You've already seen Alexandra on stage, but let me start with Norbert. Norbert is a specialist in dermatology and in allergies, and he's an expert for treating chronic wounds. Currently, he's serving as a lieutenant colonel and a technical instructor of the Army Officer School of the German Armed Forces. And he's the founder and owner of a large dermatological practice. And again, Dr. Alexandra Lynch next to me here. She is a Joint Command Staff Officer and a Lieutenant Colonel as well. She's a specialist in general medicine, emergency medicine, flight and dive medicine. She's also a member of the Scientific Medical Education Committee of doTERRA, SMEC. And together they run a joint medical practice in Dresden, Germany. They share the belief that scientifically oriented medicine must always be the foundation, but within that framework, they are open to and trained in integrative complementary methods like essential oils and nutrition. Their characters, their passions, and their professional expertise align perfectly to treat patients holistically. So that's enough for me. Maybe just a little icebreaker here. So if you two were an oil or an essential oil, or a supplement, what would it be?
Okay, I would like to start. First, let me say thank you that we have the opportunity to talk about the things we did the last month and weeks and also the last days, depending on the Omega and our clinical trial. But to come to your question, if I was an oil, I would like to be, as a dermatologist and allergist, I would have to be lavender oil because of its perfect impact on our skin health. It can reduce inflammation in all of our skin cells, and as you already know, it can reduce our negative stress, our distress. And everyone has realized this before, that when our negative stress decreases in our body, our skin looks more healthy. And on the other side, lavender essential oil is able to stabilize our allergy cells, our mast cells, and this stabilization leads to the effect that histamine, the most important hormone when we think of allergies, cannot be released so much anymore. The second question is more difficult. Which supplement I would like to be? I think when I remember what Dr. Hill said this morning, he was focused on the wellness chart, wellness pyramid, then I would like to be PB Restore, because PB Restore is connected to all of our steps inside this wellness pyramid.
Thank you.
So yeah, if I would be an oil, what oil would I choose? This is a really easy question for me, but I have to give you not a scientific answer, I have to give you a personal answer. It's On Guard, because that was the oil what convinced my husband. And I think it's really important that we convince our partners with the essential oils. And On Guard also convinced me. And in the beginning, when I started with doTERRA, my first presentations were about little kitchen experiments. And I think the people in the DACH region, they already know me, and also UK, that I am the medical doctor who is making experiments with moldy bread and with chicken poo. And that were experiments with the On Guard oil. So it convinced me scientifically, but also personally. And the supplement is really easy. It's the MetaPower Advantage. And it's because it makes great hair, nails, skin, so which woman doesn't like MetaPower Advantage, right? And we have everything in one sachet. We don't have to think about, okay, what I have to combine to the collagens. Do I need vitamin C or do I need something else? It's everything inside. But the most important thing for me is it gives me energy. So when you too, you also have this experience. When I wake up in the morning and I take my MetaPower Advantage, then I'm really fit and I can go in the day.
Well, thank you. Yeah. That's what keeps us going here, prevention too. So. Recently, Alexandra gave a talk titled "Fat is Our Friend," That surprises many people who think of fat as something negative, or calories, or weight gain, cholesterol. So is fat really our friend?
So we heard several things already today. Maybe I would like to summarize some important facts from this piece. So fat is a dense source of energy, of high quality energy, and we're not allowed to forget this. So more than twice of this energy load in comparison to carbohydrates or proteins are inside our fats and fatty acids. So they are essential when we need a long-lasting fuel inside our bodies. When we think of digestion, please think about all our fat-soluble vitamins, A, D, E, and K. Without fat and fatty acids, they would pass through our body and our body would not be able to take them in. And this would be horrible. So, Omega-3 and Omega-6 fatty acids, they are essential. They keep inflammation in balance. They are for our heart cell protection. They help us and support our brain function. So we have to take them in whenever possible. Of course, we can talk about skin health, we can talk about cholesterol and hormone production in the end of using fats and fatty acids. And these are all great things and great effects from fats. And don't forget, in cold days, fats keeps us warm a little bit. Yeah? And when we took a look at good food, a little bit of fat inside makes this food taste well. And this is for everybody really good. So as you asked me, yes, fat of course is also a friend of ours.
But I have to be here a little bit the bad guy, because today I talked a lot about fat and all the good things, and you too, but I think fat can also be our foe, not only our friend, because fat makes us fat. And that's really true, so we gain weight because of fat. But we have to look a little bit at what is a good fat and what is bad fat. And maybe you remember in the presentation we have different types of fat, and we have to look at what we eat. So everything begins what we eat. If we eat too much sugar, the body will convert it to fat. The fat what makes us fat. If we eat too much of everything, then this will also be converted to the fat what makes us fat. And if we eat artificial fats, this can really lead in our cells to chronic inflammation. And this can really be unhealthy, and it can increase also our cardiovascular risk. We talked today about cholesterol, the bad one, the LDL, and the good one, the HDL, the how do I love you cholesterol, if you remember. And the LDL isn't bad, but it's bad when it's oxidized. And this oxidizing is something what causes stress, lack of sleep, and the chronic inflammation, for example, and also all the toxins what we get every day in the body, like also smoking. So we have also bad fats, and we have to be aware of that.
You mentioned earlier fatty acids. How do they work? What do they do in our bodies?
Okay, maybe then let's take a deeper look inside this. Let's take a deeper look inside the microscopic level in our body. So every cell in our body, every blood cell, every immune cell, every single cell in our body is surrounded by a protection, by a wall, so-called cell membrane. And these cell membranes are built by phospholipids. And these phospholipids are built from, of course, fatty acids. So fatty acids are the center of this layer. And these fatty acids are really special. They are unique because they have one end which loves water and the other end repels. This makes it able to form a special layer, a double layer. And this double layer is the protection, is the wall from every cell. But this is not only a wall, it's more than a communication hub. It's more than a gatekeeper. The cell membrane decides who leaves the cell, who comes inside the cell. And it's necessary for communication between cells. So we have to take a closer look to the structure and to the types of fatty acids we see inside our cell membranes. So maybe we could do it the easy way. If we have a lot of saturated fatty acids inside our membranes, this wall gets stiff, it's strong and stable, but also rigid.
Yeah, and the rigidness is not good, right? Because we need a flexible cell membrane, and if we had a rigid cell membrane, then we have a problem with cell communication. We have a problem to transport nutrients. And because of that, it's important to have a flexibility. And for this case, yeah, we have a solution because we have the unsaturated fatty acids as well. We have the monounsaturated, like the omega-9, and we have the polyunsaturated, like the omega-6 and the omega-3. And we need them to be in balance. So it's so okay to have saturated fats in our body, like butter and cheese and meat, but it's important that we have a balance with all of them for the great balance in our membranes.
So we heard so many things about omega-3 fatty acids. We heard about the function and its positive impact on our immune system, on our vascular health system, on our blood clotting system. And I would like to focus on what really means this when we take a look at the cell membrane. So maybe I would like to show you something. Please imagine that Alexandra and Christian, they are red blood cells. They're the average size right now, okay? Of course, you're right, they're the most beautiful red blood cells I have ever seen and I've ever spoken to. Yes, they are definitely. And if we have a good, healthy living, good nutrition, they are flexible in the membranes, yeah? They are fluid. And this means, right now, Alexander took us some hours ago into a journey through the biggest vessels, and I would like to take you now right inside the smallest vessels, our capillaries. So what happens in our capillaries when red blood cells are fluid? Okay, we will show. These are the capillaries between the chairs. We have the capillaries. Please come to me. And because they are so fluid, they can pass the capillaries without any problem. Okay, Christian has a little bit more problem. Without any problem. But if we have an unhealthy lifestyle, if we have an imbalance from omega-3 and 6 fatty acids, the following thing could happen. Erythrocytes, blood cells, could stick together like a money roll. We could demonstrate this maybe. Have to correct this. Okay, yeah, first and the last time you can see this maybe. But right now we are a kind of money roll, and now we try to get through this capillary again. So, no, from behind. We'll do. Right. You'll see it's much harder to move, and maybe it's not impossible, but it is much harder to get through it. So, thank you for your. The most beautiful red blood cells I've ever seen. There's only one important thing when we talk about omega-3 balance that I think understandable.
Thank you. And you're welcome. So we talked about omega-3, of course. This is the big topic here at this panel today. How much of it would you recommend or do you think we need?
Okay, so maybe let's say natural sources like high quality, fresh and instantly processed fish is a quite good basement for our healthy nutrition. A lot of people are not able to eat enough from this. I think it might not too. So we have recommendations, and these recommendations say, okay, you should take at least 250 up to 1,000 milligrams per day from omega-3 fatty acids. And when we have this level, everything should be fine.
And this is really interesting because I agree with this recommendation absolutely, and you already heard in the presentation about higher doses, and outside a lot of people will tell you that these recommendations are not enough. And I can say to you, doTERRA gives you a product and the dose in the product is safe and it is enough. Because it's not about it's not about how much we take, it's about the quality what we take, and it's about what we would like to achieve. And then a lot of people are asking me, okay, so do we need a self-test? And I say no, because of two reasons. The first reason is, all of you who are not eating a lot of fatty fish and who are not taking supplements in form of omega-3, you will have a low omega-3 index, so it's wasted money. And the second thing is, we tested it for you.
I'm glad you mentioned that. Yeah, please. You tested it, and how did this study come about? Like, how did we end up with that?
That was so crazy. Last year I was in Thessaloniki at Leadership. Who was there in Thessaloniki from you? Yay! That was such an incredible event. And Nicole Stevens was there, Dr. Nicole Stevens, and she said to me, Alex, I have to talk with you. And I thought, okay, great. And we sat down and she told me that they have a really great trial in the US about the omega-3 capsules. Still ongoing. And I was totally excited. She told me about that, and she said, Brenica and I, we sat down and we thought we could do something like that maybe also in Europe. And I said, yes, this would be interesting, tell me more. And then she told me about this new amazing product, what is launched today, the omega-3 sachets. And I was so amazed because she told me that this product will only be available in Europe. So it's so logical to say, okay, maybe the people in Europe are different than the people in Utah, and I agree. And we have different products, right? So for me, I was really amazed to hear about that. And then she asked, okay, maybe you would like to do this trial. And I thought, okay, I don't know how, because I don't know where I will be in the next weeks, but yes, of course, I will do that. And then I thought, okay, in the week I'm in Hamburg, in the weekend I'm in Dresden, my medical practice. I have Norbert there. I have to tell him about this plan, and I need him, because I can't do that alone. I need a second doctor, and I need someone who's with me in all of that. So I asked him.
So let me share my first thoughts and impressions from this idea. The first thought was, okay, we're working both in German on Thursday for, let's say, about 50 hours per week. In our free time, we are in our medical practice. And regularly, we are divided by more than 500 kilometers from Dresden to Hamburg. So all objective things about this, all thoughts said, no, don't do this. But you know the result? I took a look and said, of course, yes, we have to do this because it's so interesting. And now today, we can show you first results.
Thank you. And it was so crazy because it took such a long time that we could start, because we needed so many approvals, and then we needed the product, and it was at first difficult to get the product in Europe because all of these regulations in Europe. So we were so afraid, because it was so important for us that we can show you something here at convention, maybe not the whole trial because it's still ongoing, but maybe the first results.
Okay, maybe I would like to tell you before what we did. So we took 50 obviously healthy patients from our patients, and we told them to take Omega sachet 1 time per day for a period of 12 weeks. Before we started with this, we did a big physical examination. Maybe it's comparable to a big check-up at the general practitioner. We made an ECG, we documented their weight, their waist-hip ratio, their blood pressure, and of course we took a lot of blood. We made a big blood examination. So to keep this short, one part of the blood examination was, let's say, standard parameters or safety parameters. So we take a look at the blood cells, at values and parameters for the liver, for the kidney, for urine, and so on, to check that we have no side effects in between our clinical trial. Next to this, our patients got several scores. One score for their sleeping behavior, one score for their mood, one score for their energy level, to see which other effects maybe we cannot measure in a lab parameter will exceed from this clinical trial. And as you already heard, the clinical trial is still going on, but we wanted to present the first, let's say, maybe trends and results after 6 weeks, and we will do. So,
But let's tell them about the fatty acids, because the search a lab, right, who can give us not only the omega-3 index and the omega-3 to 6 ratio.
Thanks, I did not tell you about the most important thing, yeah? So thank you for your correction. We wanted to measure not only 1 or 2 or 5 or 10 parameters for fat and fatty metabolism. We were looking for the biggest panel we could find in Europe. And the biggest panel for laboratory parameters were more than 30 parameters for fat metabolism we checked while our clinical trial. So, and when we come to the first results, let's do this step by step. So at first, we can say that taking omega-3 fatty acids in the form of omega sachet is safe. So until now we had no single side effect. So maybe actually that is not definitely true. So you can correct this a little bit maybe.
Yeah. So yeah, we can say as a side effect, we can say more about how I have to take the omega-3 sachets. So we recommend it to every patient that they have to take the sachets with the food. That's important for the absorption. But some of them, they didn't take it, or a lot of them didn't take that with the food because it was comfortable in the morning to take it, and it's okay, you can take it also without food, but in some cases, some patients told me that they had a little bit discomfort in the stomach and problems with the digestion. And then I asked them, and they told me that they took the omega-3 in the morning without food. So then my recommendation was, okay, then take it now with food, and after that everything was okay. So maybe this is also interesting information for you, because if you have wellness advocates who try the omega-3 sachets and have this issue, then you can tell them, okay, then take it with food, and then this issue will go away.
Okay, let's take a look at our safety parameters. We had no single parameters which was changed negatively. So it's constantly safe to take the product without any impact on your blood cells, on your with negative impact on your blood cells, on your immune cells, on your liver, kidney, and so on and so on and so on. So when we take a look at the blood pressure, even after 6 weeks, we could see a decrease in the blood pressure. Decrease in the diastolic value, I have to admit, but remember, we are talking about 6 weeks of taking omega-3 fatty acids. And we saw with some of our patients an improvement of their sleeping quality, because the numbers of interruptions at night slowed down. And this is really a great impact. Also, when I think of PB Restore, we can have a similar effect. This is really great what we can do with such a product. So now let's come to the fat metabolism and the fatty acid metabolism. And I would tell you, okay, so we see and we saw what we expected, because our omega-3 level increases. But is this as obviously and as natural as I told it right now?
And I think no, because normally we would think, okay, if I take omega-3, then my omega-3 level will arise. But that's not true. If we take something, that doesn't mean that something will happen in our bodies. So it also could happen that with the omega-3 level it happens nothing, or almost a little bit. But in this case we could see, yes, there was a happening, and it was a huge happening, so it works. And I think this is one of the most important things.
Yes, Alexandra was already talking about bioavailability and quality. These things are so close together, they're so strongly connected. Yeah, thanks for mentioning this. So the other point is the ratio between omega-6 and 3 fatty acids. And the ratio, you told it and showed us in your presentation, should be smaller than 5 to 1. We often see much higher values, 10 to 1 to 20 to 1. Every single person in our clinical trial had degrees of this ratio. So we come to 3 to 1, and maybe after 12 weeks or even more, we come to 2 to 1, maybe 1. to 1, and this would be really great. So, and at the end I would like to tell you that something happened I did not expect. I told you we were measuring some risk parameters, but we also measured apolipoprotein B and lipoprotein A. These are risk parameters for cardiovascular health. And also Dr. Hill mentioned this tomorrow morning. Because if these values are high, your risks for any kind of cardiovascular issues is increasing and really high. And all of our patients had a good degrees in these risk parameters already after 6 weeks. And this was something I did not expect as a medical doctor.
Me either. The only thing what I was expected was decrease of the triglycerides, but we have to say the triglycerides, they need time. So we didn't expect anything after a few weeks. So we are really excited what we will see after 12 weeks, and when we have everything together, of course, we will share everything with you.
Thank you. I can't wait to see what the final results will actually bring, and I'm sure we'll have some opportunity to hear from you again on that subject. Let's do a quick round of yes or no questions here. What would you say? Can you get enough omega-3 through diet alone?
Yes, it's possible.
Yes and no, because it depends on where you live. So if you live in Utah, I think you will not have so many fatty fish in the week. But if you live in Norway, maybe a little bit more. So I think the most of the people who are sitting here are more in places in Europe where you don't eat so much fatty fish in the week. So I think the most of the people they need omega-3.
So it is possible, but not likely.
Yes. Yeah.
Would you personally take omega-3 daily, even without symptoms?
No.
Yes. Okay, but this is nonsense. Yeah, you have to take these preventive things before you get the first symptoms. Maybe not in every case she's the best woman we can imagine. But of course, we have to take this regularly.
Is omega-3 underestimated in medicine? You too would know.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we have also in human medicine we have omega-3 drugs. Yeah. So we can say that because we have that and we use that in some cases. But I have to say that I rarely saw that medical doctors use that in patients. Yeah. So it's not so common, and I think we could learn more, and I think we could use omega-3 much more in the healthcare. Yeah.
Nothing to add.
You talked earlier about testing, like you did all these tests on people. Would you recommend people go and get tested for omega-3?
No.
No, not in this preventive idea of taking omega-3 fatty acids.
What about people with fish allergies or vegans? Can they take omega-3?
No and no.
No and no, definitely.
Thank you. Okay, now I have a couple more questions here, where I want to see your personal perspective, and maybe you can tell me on a scale from 1 to 10 how you feel about this. How much do you trust taste as an indicator of product quality?
7.
8 up to 9.
And why is that?
Christian, if you have something in your fridge what is expired, what are you doing with that? You throw it away, or maybe you open it, you look at it.
If it crawls, then...
Yeah, if it talks to you, then you throw it away. But if it smells good and it looks good, then you eat it. And now we have this the other way around. If you see something what doesn't look so good and smells not good, then you will not use it.
Yes, millions of years of evolution gave us the capability to decide what is good and what's not good. Yeah, with our nose, with our eyes. We should trust them.
How helpful is lemon oil for you personally?
6 up to 7.
10. And I have to say it first scientifically. We heard today from Alex Sedal about the limonene, how amazing the limonene is, and how amazing it is, and that the limonene has the opportunity to bring things in our cells, so we have a higher penetration rate. And the limonene is also good because we have a better smell and a better taste, and we have a better protection against antioxidation. And from the personal side, the lemon oil was the first oil I ever in my life tested from doTERRA, and it remembers me of my grandma, so of course a 10.
I understand. Yeah, please, go ahead. And how important would you say is sustainability in fish oil sourcing?
7? Yeah, 9, maybe 10. Because we're talking about a high quality product. And if you want to keep the quality constant, you have to keep and watch what you're doing with our natural environment. And this means we have to do sustainable fishing. We have to be careful with the sources from we get our products, our oils, our fatty acids.
And we know some products, some of the new products we see have olive oil in them. And how much does olive oil influence the bioavailability in your opinion?
6.
Yeah, 7 up to 8. I agree totally. And furthermore, not only bioavailability is the point. Another point is the high concentration of polyphenols inside this high quality olive oil, because it has a big antioxidant effect. And this we use to protect, to be a shield for our omega-3 fatty acids. And so it's a stabilizer inside our sachet.
And how important is scientific evidence before recommending a product?
10.
11.
13.
Oh.
Anybody else? And maybe just in closing, if you could leave the audience with one thought, what would that be?
Okay, when I put all my thoughts together, this one sentence would be: science and nature are no contradictions.
They are complements to each other, right? So as medical doctors, I think it's our mission to honor both. And I think it's all about trust. The patients, they trust us. And the people outside, they trust you. You who are sharing the best essential oils in the world with them. So thank you for that. Thank you for serving.
Thank you. If people have questions about this and they want to talk to you, where can they find you?
Tomorrow between 11 and 12 at the Omega-3 part in the showcase.
Thank you. So, thank you again. Thanks for coming, and thank you.